Welcome to Wedding Packages in New York City, our weekly show. The wedding show, I am Veronica Mosha, happy to be with you today. Remember, if you have any questions wedding related, especially in New York, please send them to me and I'm always happy to answer them. And if you are watching live, you can text or send me a note and I'll answer. So last week I told you all about the new legal procedure to get a marriage license and get married here in New York City. If you didn't catch that show, just check in my list, you will see it. Oh my goodness, see, everyone always calls when I am doing this. Anyway, we had a great week here in New York. Today I have another wedding. I've been doing a lot of weddings in Central Park. Weather is nice. And yeah, we're making it happen. Unfortunately, we cannot eat indoors. So there's no restaurants open inside, but everything is open outside. And we are able to celebrate with family and friends. So anybody who's local, anybody who's here in New York, you can get married this summer. So I encourage you to book your weddings now for August and September while the weather is beautiful. And we are, of course, booking weddings for October, November, December. We have a lot in December. I hope things don't change and we are not locked down again in December because there's lots of couples that book for December. On that note, I just want to reiterate, is that a word? Reiterar would be in Spanish, so I don't know if I'm saying it right in English. But I want to say it again regarding our non-refund policy, my non-refund policy, which is big and bright everywhere on my website and in the terms and conditions, and I've made videos about it. And I like to be very upfront. There's no concessions about it. There's no wiggle room. I have an absolute no refund policy. We take a down payment for every booking, and that down payment is sacred. This is your promise to us that you want to work with us, and this is your acknowledging that we start working with you the day that you book. I know I do, and I deserve to get paid for my work. So every email that is exchanged between you and us and the company, myself or my staff, every phone call, every conversation, every question, answer, we're at your beck and call from the moment that you book us until the day of your wedding. All those things that we do, all those conversations, all that time that we are available to you, that is what you pay for. And that is the reason why we do not give money back for the work that we've done. And that's my policy. You don't have to accept it. If you don't like it, do not book with us. You can book with my competitors. I know a lot of them offer a return up to a month before the wedding, I think. I know someone specifically that I'm thinking of. I think they only take 25% down payment, and I think you will get a refund if it's a month or two before the wedding. I can't remember. I should look at it again. And that's okay. That's how they do it. I wonder why. I have ideas of why, but that's them. I know the one company that I'm thinking of, they do Central Park weddings. The company is called Central Park Wedding, but they're in Hoboken, they're in New Jersey. They don't live in New York, and their company is not in New York, which means if you hire them, whenever they have a Central Park wedding, they have to come to the city. They have to make it into New York City. And sometimes that could be challenging. So I value everything that I offer, and I value my location, especially. I am in Columbus Circle. We are across the street from the park, and we are there where we can go on foot. Me and most of my staff will live right here. My assistant, my violin player, my photographer, they all live in the perimeters of Central Park. So 3 of them live right here within 5 blocks from me. And the other one, the photographer, lives on the other side of the park, also 2 blocks away from Central Park, which means we are always available no matter what. We have done wedding ceremonies with horrible weather, terrible blizzard, and we didn't cancel. And the couple was from the UK, and they only had a couple of days here in New York, and they only had this time to do their elopement, to have their wedding, and we made it happen. Now, if we had been outside of the city, we couldn't have made it because all the public transportation was shut down, it was blocked. It was really hard to get here, but because we are local, we could do it easily. And to me, that is very important. And so to keep everything that we have and to give the value that we offer, we need to be compensated, and we need to have the certainty that that investment is not going to be taken away once we start working with you. Maybe you understand it, maybe you don't. That's okay. That's a decision you have to make. But I always like to let my couples know in advance that this is our policy. It is written in our website, and we don't budge. So, and with this pandemic, this has, it came up a lot, and people felt that they should get their money back because they're not having their wedding. And they didn't understand that we had put in a lot of work for their wedding already. We worked for them for months, and that was the service that they were paying for. Not the day of the wedding, but the days leading up to the wedding. Because quite honestly, as you know, you don't have to hire us. You can do this all on your own. You can hire your own officiant. You can do your research, get your own photographer, get your own park permit. You don't need someone doing all those things for you. It's really a premium, right? But if you decide to acquire our services to give yourself peace of mind during and before the ceremony, then that has to be paid for. Anyway, so having said that, we do hope that nothing new happens this winter. And if it does, we are always happy to work with you and reschedule for another day. And I think we are the best, the most comprehensive elopement company right now in New York City. And on that note, I'm going to make you aware that to look at when you're making this decision and looking at different people and different packages and different companies, really pay attention to their policies, ask the right questions ahead of time, and also, make an informed decision and figure out why. Sometimes it's a head scratcher. I see people with different policies, and that kind of gives you a clue where they are at in their development as a company and as a professional. A true wedding professional, a seasoned one that's been doing this for a really long time, will have a little more strict policies, because we've done this a few times and we know the risks, and we value our work. And those who are newer, or those who have another job, maybe they have a full-time job and they do this as a part-time thing, then they're a little more loose. So then it has to be your decision. Who do you want to work with? Do you want to work with someone who does this full-time and will be fully dedicated to your event and your needs? Or do you want to go with someone who is doing this on the side? Because if they have a loose non-refund policy, that's most likely the case. They can do without the money. We can't. We are counting on your investment to pay the electricity. The air conditioner just stopped. To pay for the business, with our location, our office, our team, everything. So no, I can't afford to give money back. And that's why I always recommend get insurance. There are lots of companies. No, I will not give you the name of one company to go to because I don't work with any company. I don't know them. So it's up to you to do the research and decide which one is best for you. So, I encourage you to Google it and call them and see what they're about. For the kind of weddings that we provide, typically insurance would be from $50 to $100. And that's not a lot at all. And that guarantees you that you will get your money back if anything goes sour and you can't have the wedding. For whatever reason, you can get dumped. Nobody thinks they'll get dumped, but it happens. And it's not pretty. And then you get mad at the wedding company or wedding vendors because you want your money back. And we're like, well, so you don't know what can happen. Insurance is always good. I recommend it. Changing the subject, I would like to talk also a little bit about wedding planners. I have had the opportunity to meet a lot of people lately in the wedding industry, and I always see, how they work. And actually I can talk about all of the different vendors, and I could tell you things to look out for. So today, let's just talk about the wedding planners. Maybe we leave the photographers and the officiants for next week. Remind me, I'm gonna forget. I should write it down. I want to share with you some anecdotes just for you to be aware of, just, something to think about because it's interesting. So with the wedding planners, I noticed it's a very interesting thing that happens with the planners because what I noticed is that it's all about personality, right? If the wedding planner is personable and she's nice and congenial, and she has good people skills, then she's great. It seems like it turns out to be, it's just about the way they make you feel as a couple. So if she's able to make you feel welcome and warm and fuzzy, then she's great. And it's interesting to me. It's funny because I've seen some people that are very sweet and they're very nice and they're very incompetent. I try to hire them, and I couldn't keep them for too long. And then my husband makes fun of me because I fire a lot of people very often. But I do have high standards. I don't think they're high standards, quite frankly. I think it's common sense. And I am shocked to see how some people work. And they think that's okay. That's acceptable behavior. It's not to me. So I'm going to tell you stories without bragging about my services. I don't have to. I mean, do your research, please. You are getting to know me every Sunday because I talk to you and you get to see my personality. So I think you want a type A person running your event. You don't want a best friend. You want someone who's going to get things done properly. That's my opinion, but I can be wrong because obviously these other people are working. Okay, so I'll tell you an anecdote. We went to our friend's wedding. It wasn't in New York, a different city, different state. And they had a big wedding. They had like 200 plus people. I need water. Anyway, it was at a plantation. It was huge. Once again, the wedding planner was great. They're bragging. They're talking about their wedding planner. All right. I'm looking forward to it. And okay, I'm going to talk about both of them because I can't help it. I'll try not to. The wedding planner was great. And the officiant was someone that they knew, connected with, because the bride was a Christian and he was like a Christian minister. Anyway, okay, I won't get into the officiant today. I leave that for next week. I give you lots of anecdotes about lots of people. Not today. Okay, so let's just focus on the planner. So we show up as a guest. And it's a big wedding, as I said, so big production. And so we're going in for the ceremony. Ceremony is outside. There's chairs put out, the aisle, blah, blah, the usual. So as it usually happens, so I've been doing this for 12 years. I've done thousands of weddings, thousands. I average 120 weddings a year on a so-so year. Sometimes it's more. And I've done countless weddings. So I've seen this a million times. Every time I stand there to do the ceremony, I realize people don't want to sit up front. No matter who they are, they could be direct family members, but nobody wants to sit in the first, second, third row. Everybody, they feel funny. They feel that someone should tell them where to sit or give them permission to sit up front. They don't want to be rude. They don't want to sit where the immediate family is supposed to sit or the wedding party is supposed to sit. I understand. Myself, as the officiant, I always tell people, I'm there early and I tell people, please sit, come up front, fill the seats up, leave the seats in the back for the latecomers. That's something you always do. I always do it as an officiant. As a planner, obviously that's your job to do. If you have a lot of weddings that I officiate are small, they don't have a planner. So I just do it. But if you actually have a planner, and in this case they had a planner, they have ushers, they had the officiant, and they had the photographer. Now, the photographer is also someone who would be interested in making sure that everybody is up front, so all the seats are taken, because when you take the photos, it looks like an empty, it looks horrible when you have 3 rows that are empty. Okay, long story short, nobody said anything. The first 3 rows were empty. Now, type A, crazy person that I am, as soon as I walk in, this is the first thing I started saying. I tell my husband and our friends, is like, this is ridiculous. We can sit there. Let's sit there. Everybody was like, no, nobody wanted to go there. My friends and my family didn't want to go there because we are not direct, related to the couple. We are friends and not close friends either. So we were like, no, that's, we can't do that. All right, whatever. I think we sat maybe on row 3 or 4. 3 or 4, probably 4. Maybe we sat on row 4. The first 3 were empty, and they stayed empty. They stayed empty for the entire ceremony. Nobody said anything. Number 1, that's a great planner. That's the beginning. That's the first thing, because she did a lot of other mediocre things. But this is the first. Number 2, the groom comes in with his mother and father. He walks down the aisle, and then he sits his parents. He sat his parents on the second row. I didn't understand why. I don't know why. I'm thinking maybe someone else, he has a group of people sitting on the first row, but he didn't. He sat them there. And his parents were from New Jersey. So the mother was kind of like me, and she saw immediately that nothing made any sense, and like she didn't understand why they were there in the middle of nowhere, sitting by themselves on the second row. The third row was empty, the first row was empty, and there they are, the 2 of them with nobody around. Totally ridiculous. So she bitched about it, and I said, yeah, I think so. And she's like, oh, the usher should have done a good job. The usher should have done that. Okay. So then I think they moved to the first row, to be on the first row. Their son is getting married. When I asked the groom why he sat his parents there, because we met for lunch the next day or dinner after the wedding, he said that the planner told him that he had to take the parents and sit them by the red dot. She was going to put a red dot on the floor. I guess they did. They put a red dot, but whoever did the set up the chairs, they set up another row of chairs in front of the red dot. So that's problem number 2 or number 3 of this idiot that didn't tell them, forget about the dad. You sit them on the first row. Wherever the first row is, that's where your parents are sitting. What dad? Why are you putting a red dot? That's ridiculous. So him, because when you are the groom or the bride, when it is your wedding, you are very nervous. You can be a brilliant person. You can be a triple PhD. You can be a genius. But let me tell you, when it is your wedding day, none of that matters. Emotions run high, and you cannot rely on your intelligence. So he's nervous, he's in the moment, and he's just doing what he was told. He was told, you see a red dot, you sit them there. And that's all he did. I can't blame him. I understand. I know the feeling of being, the bride or the groom. So I don't understand. This woman is supposed to be a seasoned wedding planner. I mean, this never happened before. And the 3 rows with no people, one side and on the other side. I don't understand. Another thing she did a few things. I don't want to trash her too much, poor thing. A few things. They did the toast. You know how they do toast at a wedding? They did it the day before at the rehearsal dinner. I don't know why. It was her suggestion. Terrible idea. Who came up with this? I don't know. They had 200 people there at the service, at the ceremony, and the party, the reception, and there was no toast. Nobody spoke. I mean, that's one of the highlights of a wedding celebration, to hear the best man talk, to hear the father, to see them, right? It's nice to see the first dance. Well, she thought it was best to just do it at the rehearsal dinner with a small group of people and get it over with, get it out of the way. Another thing she chose to do, this planner, also I don't understand why, and I'm scratching still today. This happened a year ago, and I'm still scratching my head trying to understand the logic, is they cut the cake also secretly. Nobody knew they were cutting the cake. They cut the cake, and then they're bringing pieces of cake. We didn't see the cutting of the cake. They didn't do the usual. That's another thing that people like to see. I would like to have seen the actual cake. I didn't see the cake. They had a nice cake. It was on the side. So this was a plantation. So it was huge, and it had like different rooms. So unless someone told you this is happening in that room, you wouldn't know. And nobody told you anything. They had desserts, and you find out because you see someone eating it, right? So you're like, oh, there's that happening. Now let me go and see. So I thought the whole thing was just so poorly executed. And yet, I'm telling you this story because this couple thought that their wedding planner was the best. She was so great. She was not. There was nothing great about it. It was terrible. My niece, my 15-year-old niece, could have done a better job. Just someone with a scrap of brain and some common sense would have done better. But I guess she was very nice. She was congenial, and they liked her. And so she was good. So, things to look out for when you are planning your wedding. I don't do big events, big weddings. It's not my thing. I try to stick to what I know and what I'm great at. I do pride myself of doing an amazing job, and that's because of my years of experience. If I didn't have all that experience to back me up, maybe it wouldn't be so. I mean, I'm a totally different person from 7 years ago, 8 years ago, even 5 years ago. Completely different. Every day I'm learning something new. I observe, I watch, and I see, there's a lot of things that happen during a wedding that you can only learn through doing it, through experience. You will never learn it in a book or a video or a class or a seminar, forget it. I know, I have a friend, she's a wedding planner in France, and I'm assuming she's very good. But she's my friend, she seems fantastic. And she does really, really big events, hundreds, $200,000 weddings, $100,000 wedding, 300, big events. And she also works with a lot of other wedding planners that she tells me stories. And so I don't know if I should see, now I'm feeling I shouldn't be sharing, but anyway, I'm not going to share. Be cautious, do your research, find out who's who, what they've done. Anyway, I was going to say about my friend, she does really big events. I don't. I do small events. There's a different skill set for both. The weddings that I do, if you are a wedding planner who plans the big events with a little, what do you call it? The place, the seats, okay, I can't even say that. Obviously, that's not my forte. The big wedding receptions with 200 people, and you have the little seating charts and all that stuff. She does that. But I believe that someone who's used to doing that sort of event, those big events, they wouldn't be as effective doing a small wedding, like a Central Park wedding, the kind that we do, where you have to deal with weather stuff, people around, tourists and bystanders and family members and people being late, and the weather, today looks like it's going to rain. We have a wedding at 3 today. I hope it doesn't rain. I feel for this couple. They booked a year ago. Oh my goodness, and we're happy that they were able to have their day today, that things are better with the pandemic, and now it'll be so annoying, so awful if it rains. The bride, obviously, she's getting ready. Everybody's getting ready now. It's too late to cancel, as you can imagine. But anyway, it takes a certain skill to do the small elopement style weddings. It's very fast paced, and you have to be really fast on your feet. And then you have to deal with a lot of unexpected things. But if you've been doing this for a really long time, nothing is really unexpected, because at this point we've seen it all pretty much. So I always like to work with people that match my style, have the same mindset, and that's why I let go of some folks that are not as effective, right? Because you have to be there, present, and ready to go. The little cutesy thing with the clipboard doesn't work. That's for the movies. I don't know who does the clipboard. I don't know. I never had a clipboard in my life. I don't know. You know what you're going to do, and you do it. And you assign people different roles, and everybody knows what they're doing, and you do it. Like putting on a show. It's a production. You don't need to be. At least for me, I don't need it. Everything's here. Anyway, wish us luck today. I am really praying for this couple. They don't deserve rain during their wedding. They've been through a lot. So I hope it doesn't rain. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. And if you didn't, let me know. I like to hear from you. And I will see you next Sunday. And if I don't have any questions, I will give you a few anecdotes about officiants and photographers, or maybe I'll pick one. Yeah, I was going to talk about photographers today because of something I saw yesterday, but it's too close right now, so I want to keep the emotions out of it. And I figure I'll tell you next week. But I have lots and lots of anecdotes, lots of things for you to look out for when you're planning your wedding. So I'll just leave you with this. Don't be cheap with the photographer. Don't be cheap with the photographer. That's it. If you can afford, listen, you're better off having 1 hour of photography. That's it. 1 hour, nothing more. Do that and pay a superstar, a rock star to shoot your wedding for 1 hour and getting someone at a much better price point that's going to stay with you 3 or 4 hours. Trust me. If nothing else, listen to that. I'll tell you stories next week, but it's awful. You have to be there, and you will not know until it happens to you, and by then it's too late. And it hurts me when I see that. So, anyway, have an awesome week and happy planning. All my love.